All right, so today we're doing a deep dive into the life of Nelson Mandela.
Okay.
I think most people are familiar with kind of the basic, prisoner to president kind of story.
Right.
Um, but we're going to go a little bit deeper than that today and really try to unpack, I think, some of the lesser known aspects of this legend's life.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much more to it than just that simple narrative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've got some great excerpts from a biography about him.
Oh, excellent.
And just to kind of give you an example of the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about, did you know that Mandela wasn't even his original name?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so his birth name was actually Rolihlahla, which in Ex-Chetica translates to troublemaker.
Oh, wow.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Talk about foreshadowing.
So it's-
And then he got the name Nelson from a school teacher,
Mhm.
which is a pretty common practice back then under colonial rule.
Right.
But I mean, come on, Rolihlahla, the
Yeah.
troublemaker, is just too good.
It's a great story.
It really is.
It really is. And I think, you mentioned this idea of, from prisoner to president and his name meaning troublemaker.
Yeah.
It's incredible how much his personal journey sort of mirrors South Africa's own turbulent history.
Yes.
To understand Mandela is to understand how apartheid crumbled and how this new nation sort of emerged.
Absolutely. So let's rewind back to the beginning.
Okay.
So he was born Rolihlahla Mandela in 1918 in a small village in the Eastern Cape of South Africa.
Mm.
Went on to study at Fort Hare University and even pursued law at the University of Witwatersrand.
Wow.
All of this was happening as apartheid was tightening its grip on South Africa.
Yeah, I mean, apartheid, it's easy to say the word, but the reality was a system designed to oppress and segregate based solely on race.
Right.
It was brutal.
Absolutely. And it was, something that he witnessed firsthand. And I mean, I think that leads into, he joined the African National Congress, the ANC, in 1944,
Right.
initially advocating for peaceful change.
Mm.
But then came the Sharpeville Massacre in 1960, where police opened fire on peaceful protesters. And this was, a horrific turning point.
Yeah, I mean, that event really exposed the brutality of the apartheid regime.
Yeah.
I think it shook Mandela and others to the core and, led them to believe that armed resistance was the only way to dismantle the system.
Right. And I mean, and that's a huge, debate within the ANC.
Oh, absolutely.
Some saw it as, a necessary response to the violence of the state.
Sure.
Others grappled with the ethical implications.
Of course.
But the shift towards armed resistance ultimately led to Mandela's arrest in 1962, beginning his 27 years of imprisonment.
27 years. I mean, can you imagine? He was moved between Robben Island Pollsmoor Prison and Victor Verster Prison, each with their own, harsh conditions.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. And they really thought that prison would silence him.
Yeah.
You know.
It's incredible to think.
And here's the thing, it actually amplified his voice.
It's true. His imprisonment really ignited international outrage and turned him into this global symbol of resistance. I mean, people around the world rallied for his release pressure mounted on the South African government, sanctions increased. I mean, the world was watching.
Yeah.
And I think all of that global pressure really played a major role in ultimately forcing the government's hand.
And then came the day, February 11, 1990.
A monumental day.
Mandela walked free after 27 years.
Wow.
It's hard to even grasp, the emotional weight of that moment,
Absolutely. A pivotal moment in history. But
Yeah.
Mandela didn't stop there. I mean,
Of course not.
he was elected president of the ANC in 1991 and received the Nobel Peace Prize alongside F.W. de Klerk in 1993.
Right.
And I think, sharing the prize with the man who had released him really underscored the power of reconciliation.
Absolutely. And then in 1994, he became the first black president of South Africa.
Yeah.
It was a monumental moment for the country and for the world. But instead of seeking revenge, Mandela focused on reconciliation and healing a nation fractured by decades of racial injustice.
That's what makes him so extraordinary. He understood that building a new South Africa meant moving forward together.
Yeah.
He championed the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, this groundbreaking approach to addressing the atrocities of apartheid while also promoting forgiveness.
Right.
Victims and perpetrators alike shared their stories, leading to a form of national catharsis.
It's hard to overstate the impact of that commission. It became a model for conflict resolution around the world.
Absolutely.
And Mandela's legacy goes far beyond South Africa. He became a global advocate for human rights and equality, speaking out against injustice wherever he saw it. He even became a powerful voice in the fight against HIV/AIDS, tackling an epidemic that was ravaging his country.
And his courage and resilience in the face of oppression, his unwavering commitment to peace, and his incredible capacity for forgiveness, they all continue to inspire individuals and movements worldwide.
Absolutely.
Even after his death in 2013, at the age of 95, Mandela's spirit lives on.
We've journeyed from his early activism, through those long years of imprisonment, to his pivotal role in dismantling apartheid. We saw him become president focused on reconciliation and nation-building, and witnessed his global impact as an icon for peace and equality.
A truly remarkable story.
It is.
It really makes you think, how did those years of confinement, of facing such injustice, shape Mandela's approach to leadership and his incredible capacity for forgiveness?
Yeah.
Something to ponder as we reflect on the life and legacy of this extraordinary man.
Yeah, thanks for joining us for this deep dive
Absolutely.
into the life of Nelson Mandela.
My pleasure. My pleasure.